one stays the same, and the second one flips. So it's times a squared minus 9 over 3a. Now, the cool thing about fractions is that we can reduce them. So if I had like 8 times 3 on top of one fraction and 5 times 3 on the bottom of the other, I could reduce the times 3. So in this top fraction, I have 8 times a times a. And on the bottom of this one, I have 3 times a. So it's like I'm multiplying by a on top, and then I'm dividing by a on the bottom. So I can reduce those. Okay, so first of all, let's reduce one of the a's there. And 3 and 8 don't actually have a common. I can't, if I wrote this as 2 times 4 or 2 times 2, doesn't have a common factor with 3. So that's not going to help. So we're going to get rid of that squared, and we're going to get rid of that a. So I'm just rewriting it because in math, it's really important to kind of keep things nice and neat and not be scared of rewriting things. Now I have things that should be able to reduce. Do you remember what we do with things that look like a squared minus b squared? This difference means you're subtracting, and this is squared, and this is squared. It's called a difference of squares.
Right. You could get rid of it.
How do I get rid of the squares? Like, how do I factor that thing?
You divide it by. Oh, it's like x plus itself twice.
So it becomes a plus b, a minus b, right? Whatever was squared here, whatever was squared there, right? You kind of undo it. And one is going to be the positive sign and one is going to be the negative sign. It's a difference of squares. So that one, I'm actually going to rewrite it as, so the first fraction stays the same, 8a over a plus 3. And the second thing is going to become a squared. So that was an a that was squared. And 9 is really a 3. So a plus 3, a minus 3. Okay? So is that's what we're doing over here. Okay?
Right.
And all these problems are going to have something that you need to factor in order to reduce. So a plus 3 is going to cancel out. And what I'm going to be left with is 8a times a minus 3. There's no denominator here. It's really a denominator of 1. And over 3. And when I multiply fractions, to multiply fractions, I go across. You're going to do numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. So 8a times a minus 3, 8a times a minus 3 over 1 times 3, or just 3. Okay, so I'm going to distribute out that AA, 8a times a. So 8a squared. And 8a times negative 3. So minus 24a all over 3. Now watch out. When I have a fraction with 3 members, right, there are 3 terms. Now a fraction with 3 terms, the only time I can reduce any of the numbers or any of the members of those terms is if I reduce it from all 3. So if your father suddenly came home and said, okay, everybody today is losing 1 shoe. Everyone has to be in 1 shoe. It's only fair if he does it for everyone. I can't be like, oh, you guys have a common factor. You guys both have a banana. The other person doesn't have a banana. You guys both lose your banana. Like, can't do it. It has to be fair. So in this case, the 3 terms, right, the 8a squared, the 24a or negative 24a, and the 3 don't have a common factor. So I cannot reduce. So I'm just letting you, like, this is our final answer. So the quotient we initially started with, when I divide this rational expression by that rational expression, it is the same as having this final expression. I'm just going to flip, whatchamacallit, pages to make sure that is indeed in our answer sheet. So answers 1 through 5 are, and it looks like they left it as the previous step. So they actually left it over here. This would be also true. These are equivalent. You can switch steps if that, for some reason it's not letting me, I think. So you can switch steps, but this is what the worksheet has. Okay. Let's say in the first one, this one, when you factor it, you're going to see x plus 5, x minus 5. That's another difference of squares. The 15 stays, and we're going to add this, and we're going to notice that this denominator is missing a piece, right? It really needs us to add in an extra piece. So we want to multiply this bottom denominator by x minus 5. But if we multiply the bottom denominator by x minus 5, then the top also has to be, again, for that idea of we can multiply anything by the number 1, right? This thing is equivalent to the number 1, but we cannot just multiply it by just random numbers otherwise. So the first fraction stays the same, x plus 5, x minus 5. And the second fraction becomes 2 times x minus 5 over x plus 5, x minus 5. And you'll see a lot of teachers actually just combine it at that step. So my new denominator has both pieces. My new numerator is 15 plus, and here's where your distributive property comes in. Now for the next problem, you have so let me just finish this one. For the next problem, it's just a minus, so you're just going to be able to adjust it. Plus 2x minus 10. So my answer here is 15 minus 10. So 5 plus 2x over my x plus 5, x minus 5. Now I'm a little bit lazy, so I'm going to take a minus sign. I'm going to just stick it in each of these problems to kind of see where it goes different. So minus, minus, minus is my second problem. And so everything here is basically going to be the same. But here on this step, it's going to be 15 minus 2x times x minus 5 over x plus 5, x minus 5. Okay, so it's a negative 2 that I'm distributing. So for this problem, I now have 15 minus 2x plus 10 over that same denominator. So 15 plus 10 as opposed to 15 minus 10. So now I have 25 minus 2x. Okay, so that's question number 1, and question number 2 is over there. Kind of falls down that way. Okay, so when we add or subtract fractions, we need a common denominator. And to get a common denominator, we look at what piece is missing. What's missing to make them equivalent, The three lines means equivalent. Okay, for multiplying or dividing, we need to look at, for dividing, it's just one extra step from multiplying. If the multiplication problem started here, you want to look at factoring to reduce and then actually multiplying. For dividing, we need to make a reciprocal of the second fraction and then do the same thing. Factor it, reduce what's in common, and then multiply across. Okay, so multiplication and division, it's these steps. Okay, and what I can do is I'm going to take a quick screenshot. I'm lucky to have this document camera that was given as a gift to the school, like a grant.